If you have a chainsaw, you probably have a Scrench. Scrench is kind of your multi-tool for doing all sorts of chainsaw stuff, and they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes and configurations. And just like you and me, they're all very special. But is there a better alternative to the Scrench? We're going to look at 3 alternatives to the traditional Scrench and see if one of them maybe is a little bit better to carry around when they're doing chainsaw stuff. Scrench is probably one of my favorite multi-tools, aside from my most favorite multi-tool, the Milwaukee Fastback screwdriver mixed with a utility knife. I use one of these every day. But in my daily life, every day, I use one of these as well because I work in a chainsaw shop. And these are just really handy, right? You can take the bar nuts off your saw, like yeah. You can loosen your chainsaw chain like right there. And if you got a really good Scrench, you can use them for taking off your air cleaner. This one's a little dirty, guys. Why haven't I changed this air filter? Jeez, this is terrible. And removing your spark plug. So a lot of the stuff you'd be doing in the field for doing maintenance on your saw, you can do with this this tool. All right, so the first alternate I want to look at is called this Ratchet Scrench. So this is a U.S. company. Got a 19 millimeter on one side, a 13 millimeter on the other side. So depending on what size your bar nuts are. But here's the moneymaker here. It's ratcheting. Now, I do like that this is a low profile design. These low profile Screnches are really important because if you do have a wrap handle that comes over your bar nuts, one of the bigger Screnches doesn't like to fit in there. So this thing's pretty low profile and it'll fit under those wrap handles. Pretty cool design having the ratchet on it. Maybe it's a little bit gadgety, but I feel like it really takes out some of the pain in the neckness of using a Scrench around a wrap handle. It'd really help if I had an example of a wrap handle here. Anyway, you can't spin this all the way around. So this thing just makes your life a lot faster and easier. So that is pretty cool. Another thing this thing does is you'll notice there's a kind of a notch to the flathead here. That's so you can get into your bar and clean your bar out. A lot of good Screnches like this one also have that neck to it. So I'm happy that they included that little neck on here for cleaning out your bar on your chainsaw. Overall build quality on this thing seems pretty decent, man. This is a solid built thing. The real question mark for me is, though, can you remove a spark plug with it? And the answer to that is a solid not in this case. Because this thing has to be lower profile, it can't reach all the way in and get to your spark plug. So if you are trying to do some maintenance in the field on the saw, well, this just isn't the option for that. This is mainly for just doing maintenance on the bar, sharpening or tightening up your chain, cleaning out your bar, all that kind of stuff. But overall, I'm really, really impressed with this setup on this Ratchet Scrench. And I'm going to put links to all these in the description of the video if you want to pick up one of these things. But let's look at option number 2. So option number 2 is this little kit made by Stihl. So this is a actual multi-tool. You know, sure, a Scrench is a multi-tool, but this thing kind of goes to the next level. So little button on the back here to click out your tools. Same kind of deal, flathead screwdriver with a neck on it so you can clean out your bar. A couple different Torx heads. So maybe your saw has some Torx heads you gotta unscrew to get to, or maybe you're using this with a weed whacker or something. A lot of them will use Torx heads. And then this smaller driver here, okay, for getting in here and adjusting your carburetor. So a carb adjusting screwdriver. Now this one's more geared towards Stihl equipment. So this is stuff that is used on So this is stuff that's used on Stihl stuff, but it is what it is. That guy pops out. You can use that right there to loosen or tighten your bar nuts. You can kind of choke up on it, so you do have a good grip here on the handle. But fishing this under a wrap handle, not very good. It sticks out pretty far, so this one isn't as good if you're running a saw with a wrap handle on it, as opposed to this half wrap. So something to think about. And on the other side here, you do have a smaller wrench as well. And now, can we get to the spark plug? Well, you sure can, Bob. Now, what I like about this thing is that you can either work it flat and straight, or you can curve it off to the side. You can kind of choke up, choke down. A lot of cool things about this little multi-tool. And it comes in this little belt pouch here. Not bad. And they've even got like a little slot here that in theory you could put a sharpener in, like a file. But boy, that'd be a lot to kind of stick up against your belt. So I don't know if a guy would really do that, but it is an option. So, yep, a true multi-tool from Stihl for working on chainsaws. So if you have a Stihl saw, this one would be possibly ideal. Unless you have a wrap handle, then you're kind of up a creek. Now check this one out. This is called a top saw. So carrying case, a little belt loop. This feels like waterproofy stuff. This one is like, oh, hold on if I can get it out of here. I just picked this up. So this one's a little more modular. So this one already has the bar nut size on here for my bar nuts, which is good. But on the other side, there is a different wrench side. And you can unscrew this right here. And flip it around. So if you were using a saw with a really small wrench on it, again, it's modular, so you could use it on that saw with the smaller nuts on it. Hold on here, I gotta get this thing back together. There we go. Anyway, so yeah, this is set up for multiple nut sizes. They give you another one in here. So if we're working Husqvarna, Echo, you know, whatever, we've got different wrench sizes. You can reach inside the saw with this thing and get to the spark plug, at least on my Stihls. So that's good. There's another one on the back side. And I think this is the same size as our topping saw, which I don't have laying around here. But that's pretty convenient. You just fish this out of your pocket, hit that guy, and you're taking the bar nut off the topping saw. So that's nice. Another screw here you can unscrew because there's other tools on the inside here. And you can either loosen up or tighten up how tight the retention is on them, or remove them, or change the order they're in, I guess, if you want. So Torx bit. Another Torx right there. A teeny tiny flathead for, again, adjusting the carb. Bigger flathead. And this one right here, this is nice. A bar cleaning tool. So that'll actually get really deep in the bar. I have noticed that some of the other tools, even though they've got a little notch on the flathead, or a little neck on the flathead to make them thinner, they don't go into all the bars. This one is really thin, so you can get into thinner bars and clean them out. So that's kind of nice. And then look at this Allen wrench. I don't have any saws that use an Allen like that, but it is a ball end on there. So that's, can you see that? Can we focus a little bit? Yeah, a little ball end there. So yeah, a really neat array of tools there. And how neat is this? That this is modular, so you can change it out to fit whatever size bar nuts you use on your saw. And yeah, you're good to go. So I feel like this one's a really, really well thought out design. I love stuff like this. It's modular for using on stinking chainsaws. The one question is, of course, can you use this if you've got a saw that doesn't have exposed bar nuts on a wrap handle saw? So let's try that out. Okay, so we got the 066 here, big old wrap handle. See, we can get to the bar nut on this side really easy, but working around the wrap handle here just doesn't work with this tool. I mean, I can't even grab a bit of it. I wonder if there's an angle I can go to get it. Kind of close it up a bit. Just not, I can almost get like a bite on it, but that's about it. We're just a little too tall here to fit there. See, like I said, if on the back side of this thing, well, even that's a little too tall. Oh, well. So, yeah, if you're running a wrap handle saw like this thing, these multi-tools, they're just not going to work. So you got to go with this Ratchet Scrunch, because look at that. Fits right under the wrap handle, and you can grab that bar nut pretty easy. So I guess that's a win for this this tool here. So anyway, yeah, so in the end, you know, what's better? A nice compact scrunch that you can just throw in your pocket. You can throw a piece of rope through it and lash it to whatever you want. You know, the scrunch with the ratcheting, I really like that. Honestly, I love these multi-tools. I'm a big multi-tool fan. I like all the adaptability and the different stuff they can do for maintaining a saw. But not being able to get under a wrap handle, that's a pretty big problem if you're using them out in the field. So for field use, I mean, I definitely think this Ratchet Scrunch is really, really neat to use. A lot less likely to bust your knuckle on the dogs while you're loosening or tightening your bar nuts. You have some more control than you do with a standard scrunch. But for on the bench, at home, working on stuff, I tell you, man, just having one of these little tools in the box, ready to go, it's everything you need in one tool. Boy, I'm really impressed by this top saw, to be honest with you, how adaptable it is if you're working on tons of different kinds of saws. But if you just got a Stihl, of course, going with the Stihl branded stuff makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside, go for that. But yeah, some cool little options here to replace the venerable old Scrunch.